This video, the Historic Ordnance series, we are looking at another variant of the American Claymore mine. This version was produced in the former Yugoslavia and is still being produced by the countries that came out after Yugoslavia disintegrated. What you're looking at is a Yugoslavian MRUD, or as we referred to it in the 90s, MRUD, Directional Anti-Personnel Mine. Now, every source I look at on this, it says in there for basic operations, basic consideration on it, think of it like a very crude American M18A1 Claymore or a Russian MON 50. So you're going to use similar instructions for emplacing these. Even the Russian sappers who are encountering these in Ukraine say it is a very crude production model of the American Claymore or the Russian MON 50. These entered service reportedly in the 1970s. I can't get an exact year when they entered service. That's not listed. It just says 1970s everywhere I look. Even Russian sources say 1970s. The mine is made out of plastic, OD green. It's not produced in any other color. Markings on it are yellow, which are on the back side of the mine, as you see here. Other technicals on this: length 9 inches, width of the mine is 2 inches, the height is 3.5 inches, weight is 3 1/3 pounds, of which the explosive filler is 2 pounds, and it's listed as 3 different explosive compounds. It's different everywhere you look, and I think the reason for that is you have the explosive filler that was probably put in them by the Yugoslavian government before the Civil War. You had the filler that was put in it during the Civil War because they were still being produced then. And you had the filler that is going into them now in the current production runs. One way to tell the difference on the different production runs, this is a pre-war MRUD. They had these ribbed plates on the front. Now, EOD sources say that these ribs were kind of a strengthening addition or feature for the front side of the MRUD. But we were told in the 1990s what this was is a detachable additional fragmentation plate that could be put on the front of the mine to add just a little bit more metal. The mine does have ball bearings on the inside, as you can see in this diagram here. Just on the inside of the front face, in front of the explosive, there's a line of ball bearings going all the way across. But we were told in the 90s that sometimes the Yugoslavians, depending on where these mines were going to get used, say it's the final defensive line right in front of their fighting positions, right in front of their trenches, those claymores may have this additional plate on here to just add a little bit more oomph to push back the assaulting force, to tear them to pieces. This mine has 2 fuse wells on top, and they are straight vertical. They are not at a diagonal. It does have scissor legs on the bottom for emplacing the mine, and these scissor legs are detachable. I do have a picture of them here to show them to you. So if you're going to put them in the ground, you have the scissor legs attached. If you're going to attach it somewhere else, like up against the ceiling of a hallway to fire down a hallway, or you're going to put it up in a tree to cover a spot, an area of a trail, you could remove the scissor legs before you would tie it in, just to make it a little bit easier for emplacement. Temp ranges reportedly for use on this is -22 degrees Fahrenheit to a max of 122 degrees Fahrenheit, and I think that is primarily dealing with the TNT filled MRUD mines. Lethal distance on this is 50 meters to the front in a 60-degree arc, and the maximum height of shrapnel at 50 meters is around 4 meters high. So about 12 feet. So one giant funnel in front, but remember, the farther away from a directional mine, the less the shrapnel is. It spreads out just like on a shotgun. Safe range reportedly is 35 meters from the mine, and that is to the sides and the rear. Recommendations are you must be behind cover before firing. This mine does contain more explosives in it than a standard M18A1 Claymore mine or a MON 50 Claymore mine. These mines can be initiated by command detonation, and I have the pictures of the set that comes with it. They can also be set up, as you see here, with a booby trap fuse. This one right here is the fuse for doing the command det electrically fired, and then it's very common a second fuse was put in top of it that would have a tripwire connected to it. It says in the materials that I have that the fuse wells are designed to handle the MUV series of booby trap devices. They can also handle Serbian manufactured UMP1 or UMP2 pole fuses, and also the UMNOP1 multifunctional firing device or fuse. Think of that along the lines of the American M142 firing device. Now the set on how they're issued is this. You get one canvas bag, and these bags are either green or gray depending on where they were manufactured and when. One mine, one firing device, one circuit test device, 30-meter firing wire, and there should be a EK-40-69 electric detonator, electric blasting cap for tying into this. And this here is the detachable legs. They actually come separate. Now when this is packed in the kit here, from what I've seen on the pictures, the mine goes in the bottom of the pouch here, and then that gets closed off, and then there's another pouch right up here, and that's where the firing wire, firing device, test set, and it looks like the legs get put in there also. Now, close-ups on some of the stuff inside. This is the firing device. Here's your test set. This is the firing device, and it shows you what the front looks like. You have two ports on there, which my guess is when you attach the wires, you twist them together and then just push them into the front is my guess. And then down here you can see the detachable legs, just a little platform on top, a bolt that goes across, and then the two scissor legs underneath. These slide into a couple notches on the bottom of the mine when you want to use the legs to put it into a ground-based position. Here you can see on the top of the mine the two fuse wells with their shipping plugs, and a better look at the rib sights on top and the markings. This is MRUD in Cyrillic writing. Now, for employing this mine, it's basically the same procedure as you have for an M18A1 Claymore or a Russian MON 50. First thing you're going to do is go through, inspect, and inventory. Make sure you have everything that you need to put that mine into operation the way that you want it to be placed. Everything passes inspection, put it back inside the bag, and then you move on to the site. Once you get to the site, you're going to find the location you're going to put the mine in. You're going to prep it as needed. If you got to spread a little bit of vegetation apart, if you got to, climb a tree to get to where you're going to put it, whatever it is, get to that location and place your mine, do your initial sighting of the mine. I do not have the distance that you're supposed to look out for sighting in this mine. My guess is sight down the top on the center rib, line it up like you do a iron sight on a rifle. Just make sure it's nice and flat out the distance that you want to cover. You got it sighted in. Then you're going to prime the mine. You are going to remove one of these shipping plugs. And you're going to insert the electric detonator and attach it and screw it into place. You're then going to attach the firing wire to the leads from the electric detonator. Insulate those leads with some electrical tape. Tie off the firing wire to an anchor to make sure it's not going to get pulled. You're then going to go through, double check using the sight on top that it's still aiming where you want it to go. You will then unspool the wire going back to your firing position. Now, once you're back into the firing position, no one else is inside the kill zone. You're going to go through, you're going to do your circuit tests. So the other end of your firing wire, on one of the leads from the firing wire, you're going to attach the test set. And there's a small wire that comes off the test set. It looks like that is the wire that gets attached to the front of the firing device. And then somewhere on here, you're going to have a location where the firing wire is going to get attached into in here. Attach on your firing device after the test set is attached. Call out that you're doing a test so everyone's aware of it. Give it a clack 1 or 2 times. There are 2 lights on this thing, which I'm guessing are these. One of these lights is a circuit check to make sure that the power is working. It's going through the firing wire. It's getting a return signal. The other light is checking the strength of the firing device to make sure that it's putting out enough of a charge that it can set off the mine. I do not know which light is which, but the way it looks, when you do the circuit check, you should get a light. 2 separate red lights should light up. If one of them does not, then it's failing the circuit check, or at least the test. It could be the firing device, it could be the circuit. I'm not sure which is which on here to know which one to let you know. Now, if it passes its circuit check, then you go through, remove the test unit, attach your firing device, and wait to activate. When it does when you are going to activate it, just like on the firing device for Claymore, click off the safety bail and start clacking away until the mine goes off. To remove it from operation, because you didn't use it for the ambush, just like on a Claymore, disconnect the firing device, put it back inside the bag, and then start spooling the wire going back to the mine. Disconnect the firing wire from the detonator, shunt the ends of the line on the detonator, which means tie them together. Spool up the wire for the detonator, remove it from the mine, put the shipping cap back in, make sure everything's inside the carrying bag, you haven't lost anything. Take it to your next location. Now, there are ways to booby trap this. Obviously, you can do it with hand grenades underneath, and you also had the booby trap device that can be put in there. So, what you're going to do, you're going to put in the mine. You're then going to screw in the firing device that you want. You're then going to go across the trail or whatever it is, attach your tripwire to the anchor, bring it back, and attach it to the correct location on the firing device, to the pin. You're going to then go through and arm that firing device according to its arming procedures. The mine's then ready to go. Another thing that I came across, which apparently was a common tactic, the Yugoslavians used to daisy chain MRUD Claymore mines to their stake mines, such as the PMR2, PMR3. So what they would do, they would take deck cord, wrap it around the bottom of the stake mine over the explosive charge, tape that on there so that it wouldn't come off, run the deck cord back, and then potentially put a blasting cap on the end of the deck cord and then put it inside the fuse well on the mine. So if someone goes through, they set off the PMR3 or PMR2 stake mine, you know, that hand grenade on a stick goes off. Well, a little bit further back on the trail, you take out the point man with the stake mine. You got one or more of these claymores hidden in the bushes, hidden in the trees alongside of the trail or the roadway. Mine goes off, and then these go off in series, with that impulse being transmitted down the deck cord from one mine to the next. So I could not find a list of countries that are using these. Officially, the only countries still using them are the former republics of Yugoslavia. However, I do remember having to memorize these for possible encounters in Iraq and Afghanistan. So they did go to other countries. And Russian sappers are reporting that they are capturing these mines in Ukraine, and they've also captured quite a few of them inside Russia in the Kursk salient, where the Ukrainians attacked into Russia. So these mines have gone to other places. They are on the international black arms market, but no one really wants to talk about it because it's not as fancy as some of the other anti-personnel mines. But it is a basic claymore. It does the job. It weighs a bit more than a standard claymore mine. They're employed essentially the same. If you want to connect this, daisy chain it with other types of claymores, not going to be an issue. They all get put in the same basic steps of operation, and they all work about the same. Now, for all my engineer brothers and the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essayons.